Welcome, my friends, to yet another edition of the Whiskey and Cigarette Show with your Italian DJ Nick, coming at you live on the Die Hard Radio, Rampart Radio, and the Rocks Family Saloon in the Foo Bar. And today, my friends, I have a very, very special guest, and it definitely is a great honor and great pleasure to have her on the show. She is a journalist herself, and was also part of HMTV Canada. And it's really a great pleasure and honor to be speaking to none other than Miss Tina Wilson. Hey Tina, how are you doing?
Great, how are you doing?
I'm great, thanks Tina, and I definitely wanted to thank you very much for taking your time out to be a guest on Whiskey and Cigarettes. It's truly a pleasure to have you.
I'm glad to be on the show, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, the pleasure is all mine. Well, Tina, I guess first and foremost, what I actually did want to ask you was, as far as actually HMTV Canada is concerned, how would you say that this branch of HMTV actually started, and what was the whole idea, I guess, behind this, the Canadian division of HMTV?
Well, as you know, a lot of bands, there's so many bands out there in Canada, and a lot of artists are struggling. So at the time in 2006, I thought of a brilliant idea of bringing our bands into the US borders. So I started Hollywood Music TV Canada, and our music site allowed our musicians here in Canada to sign up for free profiles in the USA, and a lot of them had started getting, a lot of them got recognized. So at the time, it was a really good way to get promotion for our Canada bands into the US ground. That was my main reason for starting Hollywood Music Canada.
Right, I see, and it's definitely great that they're wanting to promote, your local scene, as it were, and I guess, as you say, of course, we're starting in 2006, so you're going into your fourth year this year, and when it actually comes to the Canadian scene, which from what I've gathered, is very varied as far as genres are concerned, would you say that within Canada there is a dominating genre of music?
Classic rock.
Right, okay.
And a lot of...
I guess that's no surprise. And as far as actually I know that there's been a lot of cross-pollination from between Canada and the States. Also, as far as the southern rock and country scene are concerned, there's definitely been a lot going on there. And in this sense, would you say that...
There's one thing that we have over here. It's a huge metal fan base that's underground, and that's toward the younger generation happen to be into a lot of the death metal, hardcore metal.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right, and as you were saying, as far as actually this local scene, as it were, because I know that you also are supporting the independent artists as well. Would you say that other than HMTV Canada doing what it does, would you say that the actual local media, or rather the local Canadian media, supports the local Canadian scene, or there isn't that much support as far as its own bands, and they tend to maybe support or give more space to foreign bands?
There's a little bit of each going on in Canada, for the support of the local indie scene. We have promoters in Canada that do promote it. We have some, ImageFM.ca does promote a lot of the indie bands that are out there. College and university stations are the major ones that support the underground music scene in Canada. But with mainstream radio, it's usually just classic rock and hits of the 80s.
Right, and actually, of course, of course, Hollywood Music Television is obviously mostly all about obviously the music, but especially the visual aspect of the videos. And obviously, as you've been working in this industry for a while, and how would you say that as far as the impact of a music video nowadays has changed since MTV or music television itself actually started?
HD's come out and Bluetooth has come out, so a lot of it, technology's changed, obviously, with better pic qualities, that sort of thing. I think our videos, we're starting to get more bands up there on our big screen, and we're starting to get a variety of shows on the big player.
Right, and obviously, as I was saying, it does seem that definitely the video industry in this sense has definitely picked up a lot compared to what wasn't. Obviously, a lot of people, I guess, a song or a band has actually gotten a lot of fame or a lot of recognition because of actually a video. And as far as this actually goes, would you say that, bearing in mind even sites like YouTube, for example, which have definitely become very, very popular nowadays, would you say that nowadays people are almost more into checking out or getting information or finding out about a new band through a video rather than, say, an MP3 or just the song itself?
Well, it's probably through a video. I mean, the video would probably have more into that song. But an MP3, where a video is going to play the entire song, because that can't be shared. But an MP3, most of the MP3s that are being shared on the internet or being downloaded, they're not the full song.
Right. Definitely. And another thing that I guess has somewhat been an issue as far as videos are concerned is that sometimes maybe cause I have heard, of course, of the censorship laws that you have over there and in the States. And as far as that is concerned, how do you handle censorship, and how do you sort of apply these rules? So, for example, you come across a certain video, and how does that work?
That's a question you should have Steve Bartolone, because I do not have the answer to that question. I'm sorry. I'm mostly into audio. Mostly of what we do are online and audio, and not so much video.
Right. Okay. Well, and also as far as the reception of Hollywood Music TV is concerned, so far, now you're going into your 4th year. How would you say that it's being received, and where would you say that maybe the viewers, other than of course Canada, outside of Canada, where would you say that it's gaining most popularity?
Well, according to my hits, according to January and February, I'm almost up to 1 million hits in 2 months at my website, including all the subdomains. So obviously they're looking at the video, they're looking at the audio, they're reading the online text interviews that we do.
Right, and country-wise, would you say that, I mean, as far as actual nation so would you say there's been a response from one nation more than another?
Well, my top sites for downloading is downloading of our interviews and hits is the USA, and Canada is our second top.
Right, and as far as Europe is concerned, would you say there's been any particular response in that sense as well? Do you get also from Europe as well?
We get our top hits are coming from China, Japan, Belgium, Switzerland, Finland, for over in Europe.
Right, I see. It's definitely great stuff, and I know that in this sense you also are a journalist yourself, and you also conduct interviews yourself. And so far, who would you say has been the guest that you have talked to or that you've interviewed that has given you the greatest satisfaction?
All the bands that I interview are fantastic. I've gotten great feedback from everyone that I've done so far. I really haven't had a bad interview this year or last year. They've all been great.
That's awesome. And when would you say that when you actually conduct an interview and you're getting ready to interview the band and so on, would you say that there is a particular technique that you use? Or
yes,
that,
there is.
There is any sort of way you particularly handle the interview?
Yes, there is. First of all, when I'm setting up on a band, I find out what are their needs. What are they promoting? What do they want to promote, a tour first, or do they want to promote their CD? I never get personal with anyone. I never ask personal questions. It's all about the music that we're asking. We get into lyrics. But the important thing when we're asking questions, and it's very important, is imagery. What do you see in the lyrics, and what can you talk about and into the interview to make it entertaining? So there's always every interview we do is different. It's original, and depends on what the band's needs are. And there is advertising in all my intros for the band.
Right. Well, we're actually going to be going into some music right now. Speaking of actually of video and so on, the next song today is actually a rather a pain in history, I should say, as far as videos are concerned, because as far as country music is concerned, in 2008 of today, Faith Hill's Breathe video received the award came to the top of the 40 sexiest music videos. We're going to be going into that when you're playing some Faith Hill with Breathe. And we'll of course be coming back with Miss Tina Wilson from HMTV Canada after this song. Faith Hill there with Breathe. You are, of course, tuned into the Whiskey and Cigarette Show with your returning DJ Nick, and I am the company of Tina Wilson from HMTV Canada and a great journalist. Well, Tina, the next question I actually did want to ask you was, from a journalist standpoint, would you say that as far as competition is concerned, have you encountered aggressive competition from other journalists, and would you say that even locally, just Canada, would you say there is a lot of aggressive competition between journalists?
Yes, there is. There's a lot of haters out there that don't like what we're doing, and they think they can do better. Or you know what? It doesn't matter whether they can do better. They probably can. But there's a lot of haters that do that are just are bashing on us or whatever. But the thing I tell my members, our team interview members here, is that when you get people like that, sometimes they just don't like the band you interview, or sometimes they just want to bash on you just because they're jealous or they got nothing better to do. But I always tell my interviewers, don't give these people the time of day. Don't acknowledge them, because the minute you give them attention is the minute you're giving them their glory of fame. The best thing to do is just to ignore them and keep focused in what you're doing.
I definitely think that is the best tactic, and actually, obviously, the power, I suppose, of a journalist has, of course, grown, and there's always been, a very, very strong role throughout history. And would you say that today, especially when it comes to music journalism, that the way a journalist reviews, say, a CD, for example, or carries out a certain interview, it can be a strong influence on a fan base, on the fans of the particular band whose CD you're reviewing, for example?
In a marketing sense, yes. You say the right words, they're curious, they want to, and then they're going to go either on iTunes to check out what you're talking about, and if they like it, they'll buy the album. So it does have an impact. Even like talking about the CD and the songs and getting into the guts of the CD and how it was made and talking about the lyrics. I mean, most people are lyrics persons, so if they're going to dig the lyrics, then they're going to buy the entire album or go to iTunes and download the entire album.
Definitely. And as far as labels go, would you say that there is, because unfortunately there are, of course, rumours about this in the music journalism world about labels being very, very strong influences on how a CD is reviewed and on how a certain interview is conducted. And would you say that as far as Canada goes, this also applies, as in, for example, a label will go to journalists and say, this album has to get a good rating, or you have to speak very, very well about this album or about this artist, etc. Would you say that there are these rules, or the fact that the label imposes these kind of things to journalists?
Well, I don't call them rules. I call them press points. Press points that the publicist wants mentioned in the interview. Yes, a lot of them come through in some of the record labels I work with.
Right, and would you say that this at times limits you, or that sometimes doesn't allow you to fully express yourself the way you feel about a certain CD or so on, or not?
Not really, because you can get around that. First of all, you have to be interested in what you're doing and focused in what you're doing. Like sometimes you'll get a band and, so if it's not happening for you and you don't like their music, then don't do them. Pass them on to an interviewer that's going to be passionate about the band.
Right, and definitely, I think that is the best way to handle it. And actually, regarding that, would you say that so far there has been in the indie scene a band that has particularly caught your ear, or a band that you definitely have seen a lot of potential in and think that will be able to make it, as it were?
A lot of the indie bands have, yes. A lot of the some of the bands that were being picked on by fans because they couldn't understand their lyrics are brought to the forefront, especially in the LA area. LA Noir was one. And he's a great journalist. He's a great songwriting person. So I definitely took my time out of my day to interview him, and he's just fantastic. The lyrics were based on the 50s. I got right into his stories. And there's another one that's been out of the music scene that we're taking on promoting, like to do major promotions for. And I just completed an interview with this artist, and he's good. He's under EMI attack, so he's about to explode soon, big in the music scene here in Canada. But there is a lot of bands that are undiscovered. That my interest range from metal to hip hop to country to classic rock to blues to southern rock. I have interest in all sorts of music, and when I hear something I haven't been exposed to yet, I really dig it. I look for, if I really I like the lyrics a lot. It doesn't have to have a great sound, but the lyrics, I'm a lyrics person, so even though they don't have a raw sound at the moment and they're not a big band, I'll still take them on and I'll still interview them because they have great lyrics.
Oh no, that's definitely great to encounter people that still support the music, their local music scene, and the independent scene like you do. I think it's definitely great that there are still people, there's still journalists doing that. What we're going to be going into, speaking of indie artists, we are actually going to be going into an indie country artist, or southern rock artist, I should say, from Canada. We're going to be hearing some Deanna Johnston with a train wreck. I am, of course, in the company of Tina Wilson, great journalist, of course, and we'll be coming right back with her after this song. You're tuned into the Whiskey and Cigarette Show with your Italian DJ Nick. Deanna Johnston there with the train wreck. You are tuned into the Whiskey and Cigarette Show with your Italian DJ Nick, and I am the company of Tina Wilson, great journalist, of course, and part of HMTV Canada. Well, Tina, as far as your upcoming projects are concerned for 2010, interviews and so on, what would you say you have lined up for yourself for the upcoming months?
Well, I am backlogged. I've got a Canadian artist that I'm promoting right now, and he is going to be coming out with his new CD, I'm Not Jesus, Paris Black. So if you log on to www.parisblack.com, you can see this exceptional artist, and you can get a sampling of his music through his videos. He was a Billy Idol tribute, and he's an international model, and he's a really down-to-earth person, and he's a really fantastic musician. I really love his lyrics and what he writes within a parable. It's a storyteller concept, but all his songs are very strong. He's got 12 strong songs. They're all radio friendly, and he's like, when his album does come out, it's gonna hit big. I just feel like when you got something there. So we're really honored to get the opportunity to promote this artist and his friends as well, because we have a tour coming up, the Pretty Faces tour, which is going to involve a lot of activities for the people who are attending the concert, and it's just a lot of good things are happening in the Canadian scene. So we get to go out and go to these concerts finally, and push more of the Canadian bands through the e-zine this year. So I'm reaching as far as getting more Canadian bands on the e-zine this year. That's where I'm reaching my goals, because this is where I want to start. And I've got a lot of projects for William Forrest on the go with Vocals Magazine, and a lot of bands are coming in from the USA that are still wanting interviews. Of course, we're going to get to those as well. So I'm backlogged. I'm very swamped, and we just brought on Finnish Metal Canada, and she's starting to take over the Finnish bands and interviewing them. And we're bringing on a new fella from the Netherlands, and we're going to be bringing his work as well soon. So we're growing.
Definitely, seems like you definitely have a lot coming at you for 2010. That's awesome. And as far as actually personal objectives for yourself, would you say that there is a particular band that you would someday love to interview, or a particular musician or artist that you would just love to kind of sit down and talk to?
Well, I got some things on my wish list right now. I want to interview Gene Simmons. He's on my wish list, and I want to interview at least one vampire before 2010 ends.
Well, definitely want to wish you the best of luck with doing that, and I'm definitely sure that you will achieve your goals, I think, sooner than you yourself think. And finally, as you know, I guess when it comes to the Canadian scene,
I'd like to mention,
there's a lot of people nowadays are seeing with the crisis that's hit the world,
Nick,
economically and socially. Would you say that there still is potential in music? And because a lot of people now are kind of looking at the music scene saying music is dead, there's no longer anything new coming out, there's nothing that is particularly eye-catching. Would you say that, I'm sure that you will differ with this statement in the sense that there is some great new stuff, and that maybe music will be able to help also raise people's spirits in these difficult times?
Music does raise people's spirits in difficult times. You have a lot of the audience going to the concerts, and when they do go to the concerts, they want to take something home. They want to take a t-shirt home, and they want to take a CD home. So yes, that's where the money's being made. Also, money is being made in digital downloading off iTunes and Amazon, those places as well, because a lot of the kids and everybody wants them on their iPod, wants them on their phone. So yeah, there's money to be made, but the thing is, for a new independent band getting their name out there, they have to be able to have that knowledge. And if they can't get it, then they need somebody who is like an interviewer or a journalist that can help get them started, get the ball rolling.
Right. Well, as I said, that's definitely great stuff. And Tina, from your, of course, experience as a journalist, to all those budding journalists out there who are listening right now, do you have any particular advice or any words of wisdom on how they can get started and what you think makes a good journalist?
Anyone can get started if they have a passion for promoting the bands. First of all, you have to love what you do and you have to stay focused. And if you you can use your MySpace if you want. You can start out. The online is usually the best way to start out because you get a feel for this business and you get a feel for the questions being asked, and you get to develop your personality from there. And then once you develop your personality from there, then you can learn how to do the podcasting, you learn how to do the audio, that sort of thing, and get the ball rolling. And you have to keep at it. You just can't quit it. You just, if you have a passion for it and you love talking to people and you really dig talking to the bands and you have fun with it, you're going to keep going with it no matter what.
Right. Well, Tina, I wanted to thank you very, very much for taking the time out to do this interview with me, and I definitely want to wish you continued success in your field and with your e-zine, and I definitely look forward to speaking to you very soon, and like I said, I hope that we will soon be seeing an interview of yours with Gene Simmons.
Oh, I hope so too. It's on my wish list.
All right. Well,
we're going to do some more models this year, and we're going to put them on the Hollywood Music magazine, so we hope to do a few models, because Steve will be right into that.
That's great. Well, speaking of going back, of course, to indie artists, we are going to be playing yet another great indie artist for you. Definitely very, very talented for such a young age as well, only 17. We're going to be having some Shelby Downing with Pride with Pride. A huge thank you goes out to Tina Wilson. Be sure to check out her great work, my friends. It's definitely worth your time. Here is Shelby Downing with Pride with Pride.